life like there's no tomorrow.
Welcome to the Big King Podcast.
All right, you guys ready?
Should we start with a ceremonial?
Oh, please don't. Oh, please don't.
Fuck, you have two yoga teachers in your podcast.
Go for it. I own my way.
I'm gonna need you to take a deep breath.
You know, this is my least favorite part of yoga. I'll tell you guys that.
Wow.
My least favorite
That's
part
pretty
is the
disrespectful.
chanting.
Really?
Like, I think if there was no chanting, I'd be into yoga.
Why don't you like it?
Yeah.
I feel personally afflicted by
Really?
that statement. Yeah.
I think it feels too culty.
Oh, really?
Like,
Culty. Okay, yeah.
Yoga has a tendency
cults
to
have that
do
kind of like weird, you have to chant with me and sing with me, and it feels culty.
Once you learn about what the chants mean, though,
Uh-huh.
and like the effect of them, just to like basic background about it, I bet you wouldn't feel that way, because I
Really?
sort of felt the same
Uh-huh.
way. And like once you're sitting there and you don't know what's going on, but like once you're indoctrinated into the practice and some teacher like
Into the
explains
cult?
to you, okay,
Yeah,
listen,
indoctrinated wasn't
Yeah,
the
Listen.
right word.
I'm not doing that well.
No, you're good.
Go on.
Just when you have a little background, like
Uh-huh.
right, like this is an opening prayer that signifies the significance
Go for it.
of this tradition, right? Like this is opening a relationship between a teacher and student for the next hour and a half. So we are opening it with this, and we are closing it with this, and that means it is, in a sense, sacred. This space that we create together. Otherwise, like it's not. Well, okay. Does it sound more like a cult or less? The more that I talk.
One thing that really, because I felt the same way too,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, but I think because we all come from a Western background,
Right.
and we like hard science and facts, and we like biology, but
Right.
the thing is there's a lot behind that, especially with chanting, especially because it's like when you learn about the vagal nerve and the effects that vibrations actually have on all that, and communicating with like your, like all of you.
Yeah.
It's quite scientific, actually. We use different vocabulary. Like we talk about like vagal nerves and
Right.
stuff like that, but they talk about like the Sushumna Nadi and the, like chakras and stuff, and people are like, that's not real.
I kind of get it. And like I grew up, I'll give you an example. I grew up with traditional martial arts.
Cool.
And I had a karate teacher when I was really little, maybe like 6, 7, and his name was Sensei Allen. And it was
Sensei Rick.
Sensei Allen. He was this big black guy, and he was, dad of one of my friends.
Okay.
And he made us sing every single class. And I still remember the song. I'll sing it for you right now.
Let's go.
Ready? It goes, we jump hard. All the kids would be like, we jump hard. We jump strong. We jump strong. We jump hard. We jump strong. We jump all day long.
Wow.
And that was it. And you would sing this every day for warm-up. Wow. And it would get you so pumped up.
Wow.
But also,
It
I was
works.
like, this is kind of culty. And I was like, why are we doing this? It's so weird. And I didn't stick with it, but I still remember the song. Like, I'm 37 this year, and I remember my 7-year-old karate teacher's song.
I think that means it worked.
It means I got stuck with the cult. Like, it still
Yeah.
has an impact.
It lives in you.
Did you do anything
lives
besides yoga? Did you do any martial arts? Or?
I wish I did, but no. I would love to do other stuff. Yeah.
What'd you do when you were a kid?
What did I do when I was a kid? I danced.
Oh, that's similar. I feel like...
Did you
But
guys
it
have a
wasn't
warm-up song?
culty. It wasn't really culty. We just did a lot of wrist stuff
Okay.
and splits.
Oh, my sister did gymnastics, and it wasn't. I guess it's okay. Like I feel like all sports are a little bit culty because you're with
So
these people.
sports are culty.
They are.
Yeah, right?
agree.
Well, there's like an exclusivity about it in some way, right? I don't know.
I mean, the way that people love their sports team is super culty,
That's a good point.
and I hate. And whenever I'm like, you just love your team no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I don't why, and it changes. Like those players that you start are no longer on that team, and you still love the team. I'm like. Oh,
Yeah,
that seems
and that
weird.
hate is quite arbitrary
Yeah,
too, right?
they're like, I hate that team. For what?
Yeah.
it freaks me out. And so
It's
whenever
like
that
primal,
stuff,
like
yeah,
tiger kind of like, I'm just gonna attack,
Yeah.
and it's just like fun to just like
I don't get it.
adrenaline.
Yeah. But that stuff always kind of freaks me out. So
Some
I try to
people
stay
get that
away
way
from
with yoga.
Yeah?
I think so.
People get that way with
People
like
get away with anything.
diets,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, all right, let's roll with that.
Yeah.
But I brought you two. I should actually introduce you both. Ryan, Alisa?
Alyssa.
Alyssa. You're both yoga instructors, and you both teach with Workshop. Any other places?
I did a little side thing at a studio that I rented from one of my friends.
Oh, that's
that was, it was like a whole cohort of us yoga teachers who
Oh, that's
graduated
awesome.
together.
Yeah.
It lasted about 6 months pretty consistently, and
Mm-hmm.
then we sort of fell off because of COVID and
Yeah.
all the other regulations and leases and
But I brought you both on because you both did really well, I feel like, with the Workshop Mobility Yoga group. Like, you guys really kept everyone kind of together on a schedule, sane. Like, I was really impressed. Why'd you guys start just doing these online classes?
I'd like to start with saying thank you very much.
No, really, you guys are amazing. Everyone seems to like love you guys, and every morning I wake up at like, I don't know, 7, and then everyone's already, doing like the morning mobility stuff, and I'm like, holy crap, it's amazing.
I'm actually surprised myself that it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
It's like a
good
thing.
group
Like,
of
people love you guys.
Yeah. Well, kudos to this guy for
Yeah.
starting it. He invited me on
Uh-huh.
to teach a little bit later, so yeah.
Why'd you start it?
Yeah, we were all in lockdown, right? Everybody went through it.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's a lot of reasons I did it. I think that a big one was for myself, because it's always fun.
Yeah.
Like it's sports,
Yeah.
You got to keep the cult alive. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's gonna keep myself sane, but it's also much more fun to do with other people.
Yeah.
And like, I really liked when you came on and you're like, hey, try this challenge. And
Yeah.
I was like, damn, we can all bond through like, what can we do in our living room?
Right.
Like, and everybody can do it, and we can have fun and connect. So that was a big motivator, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I liked the challenges.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't like usually do that kind of thing, but like when you see everybody else posting and it kind of becomes a conversation,
Yeah.
you're just like, damn it, I gotta
Yeah, we got to bring that back.
do this. Yeah, we should.
I think that's a
It's
lot of
hard
fun.
now because there's so
Yeah.
much less time and people are like,
A lot of people are still
are-
working from home. Like,
Mhm.
a lot of companies are like,
yeah.
we don't even know if we're going to keep our office. Our company is like, we might just move to a smaller office and half of you work from home all the time. But I got it because one of the few rock climbing gyms in Shanghai decided, since you can't rock climb, we're just going to do fitness challenge every day. And then their coaches came on and they gave you like a half an hour workout and a fitness challenge.
Yeah.
And if you completed the workout, uploaded it, you got points. If you did the fitness challenge, uploaded it, you got points. And the person with the most points got like a month pass or like day passes, t-shirts, whatever. It's just like a bunch of prizes at the end.
Yeah.
And people went nuts for it. Like, the whole group was like, I'm in. If I can get a month free, I'm in.
That's great.
And people every day would just post.
I'm getting excited just hearing you talk about
Yeah, I know, right?
And we got really into it.
free stuff.
Yeah, free stuff. Who doesn't want free stuff? And you're working out. And then I realized that I became friends with people I didn't know at the gym. Like, people were like, oh, do you want to do this together? Like, we can all just work out together. And like, little groups started forming, and I was like, that's smart. Like, I don't know how this happened, but 4 of us became really good friends. Never met before, became really good friends.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool.
Go WeChat group chats,
Yeah.
by the way. Like, if it weren't for them, I would have zero social life.
Yeah, and that's kind of a unique
Like, in
thing
America,
to Asia.
like, you
I've thought of
don't
that.
get that at
Right.
all. It's so much harder to find friends.
Yeah, we don't really. I don't know. I haven't been to
Are
the
you
States
sure?
in a long time.
Me neither.
Yeah, I haven't been in the States in a while.
But the group chats, like, you just are infinitely connected
Yeah.
with, like, so many different people. And,
Yeah.
like, nobody has any, like, qualms about reaching out to some dude that said something in a group chat. So you're just like,
I think that's because
be
we're
friends.
expats.
Yeah.
potent.
I
Really?
think it's because we're expats.
Really?
Because there are so few of us, we all kind of are like, we got to help each other out. Because my Chinese groups don't do that.
Really?
Like, my Chinese groups are not as like, hey, they're just not as close.
Oh man.
And it really, like, I think expat groups are like, we're all in this together. We gotta like help each other out, or we're all fucked.
Cool. I hadn't thought about that.
But I think it's an expat thing because in the States, like I don't know, we had Facebook groups, didn't really do anything.
But it wasn't like consistent, like I'm keeping up with like groups, you know? I feel like these groups are like my livelihood.
Facebook low-key fell off. It's just
Yeah,
exactly.
now it's just old people.
yeah,
Exactly.
which I mean, we're rapidly, well, not you, but
What?
Arthur, we're rapidly approaching old.
Yeah.
The retirement
I'm on the
home,
wrong
it feels
side
like.
of 35.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Whatever. I feel young. I still feel 20. Like whatever,
Yeah.
20s.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're fit. Like that's part of the fitness thing. It's just like I can do things that I couldn't do when I was 18. You know?
Right.
And I'm still rolling.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah?
I can do stuff now that I couldn't do when I was 18, which is weird to think about.
Yeah, that is weird. Because you were a dancer. Like I feel like
wasn't
dancers
a
were
dancer. I like took a couple dance classes. Big
okay.
difference. Yeah.
I was gonna be like, if you were like a ballet, I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
That's like an intense workout.
No.
No, okay.
No,
I got you. I was a swimmer. Like I grew up, you know, swimming my entire life. If you ask me to get back in the pool now, it's rough. But I can do other things. Like I can, you know, and I can do jujitsu. I can climb and do other stuff. But like, you want me to get back in the pool and do that, you know, that kind of time? No way.
Swimming is one of those workouts where the worse you are at it, the better of a workout you get. You know, like
That's 100% true.
point.
It's just, is it not the same with yoga? If I'm terrible at yoga,
It gets harder and easier as you go.
what?
Like at the same time. Like I don't think it will ever get easier, but
No.
yeah, in some way, like I feel every time I surpass a certain like level of something or ability to move in some way, I just learn how to use more muscles in different ways, and then like more of me has to be activated to do a posture, and then it's like more difficult even though I have more control over my body. It's like,
Do you feel the same way?
I'm trying to compare it to jujitsu because, like, yeah, I would say like you unlock like better stability and better but you also realize there are parts of your body that you've been neglecting, and you start to realize that you have certain imbalances that you never noticed before. That's why actually when a lot of people start yoga, they actually get hurt, and it's not because they did something wrong necessarily, but it's because like you're finally working on those deficiencies that you've been driving into your body, and all these like imbalances and stuff. You're finally starting to work on that, so your body is like, oh yeah, over here too. Oh yeah, you forgot about this part. And
Really?
yeah, injuries reveal themselves.
You guys are slowly convincing me towards the yoga cult. Because I have all of these injuries, but like they all got better during quarantine. All of my injuries got better. Like all of my jujitsu like pain went away. I was like, oh, I've like I can actually kind of move my knee.
Yeah.
Like all this feels great.
Yeah.
And it was 2 months of like no jujitsu, and I was like, oh, I feel awesome.
Dude, that's one of the things too. Like when you finish a jujitsu class, you feel great, but
Yeah.
it's in a totally different way that you feel great after a yoga one. After you finish a jujitsu class, you're like, oh, I like got the submission, or I know how I'm gonna try to get the submission next
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Or like, oh wow, we had a really good roll, but my back hurts, or my
Everything
fingers
hurts.
are broken.
Yeah.
But after you come off the mat in yoga, a lot of the time you're like, damn, I feel great. Like physically, I feel better. Not just like worn out and like I feel like I got something done. You know, it's just like, oh, like I feel looser. I feel.
yeah. It's like after a normal workout, at least in my experience, or any other sort of thing that I would do, like I feel more exhausted, right? Like I feel like I just like, fuck, I just did a long ass workout. But after yoga, I feel more energized. I feel like my whole body, every cell is awake. I'm ready to go. Like, yeah, it's like instead of a cup of coffee.
Really?
Yeah, for sure, man.
For sure.
That's weird. There was a time when I took swimming really easy, and I would feel that.
Yeah.
Like a really long, easy swim. Like no hard sprints, just like long, easy, nonstop cardio. I get that. Like
Okay.
I feel like, oh, I'm awake. I feel better. Like my heart rate's not super high. It's just like, okay. And I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
But I never do those workouts. Like,
Yeah,
like I'm just
that's
like,
the thing.
I'm in the pool and I just want to do sprints. Like I just
Yeah.
want to do as fast as you can go, rest, fast, rest.
Right. Yeah, and it's kind of like an achievement mindset there.
Yeah.
Whereas like these like low intensity, steady cardio workouts, and where it's a meditation. It really is. Like especially like being in the pool, like you got earplugs in.
Yeah.
Like you're tuned everything out.
You can't hear
except
anything.
Your breath.
Yeah.
And it's totally different from when you go to like lift weights at the gym, because it's like, all right, bust out a set.
Right.
I'm gonna look at my phone. And then Instagram and Facebook, and you're just thinking all this stuff, and then you're like, okay, another set, rah! And then you're like, all right, gonna talk to my friend over here. All right, boom. But yoga, it's like a flow. It's like
you don't break.
you're there.
You're in the zone.
It's like you came here to do your
People
thing.
don't play on
You're
their
gonna
phones
do
in
your
yoga?
thing.
There had to be a time when people were like, yo, let me go on my phone. I don't know if people do that in your class.
Someone came to my class with a phone.
Yeah.
not
I
my
would
class.
chuck it out the window.
Really?
Yeah. Done.
I could
Yeah.
imagine that. But I can also imagine people just being like, I want to take a photo. Like
Yeah.
the selfie culture is so strong now.
Yeah.
I feel like if you went to, I don't know, like a expensive yoga place, like Pure. I don't know. I've been to Pure. But like that kind of like selfie culture place, I can imagine people going to yoga and bringing their phone and taking selfies while they're doing yoga.
Yeah, and there's people that'll set up a camera to like record. But I mean, I guess it just depends on the intention you come with. Like I record my rolls in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, same.
And I like part of it's for like ego, like just in case I like catch something
Yeah,
for the highlight.
you never
reel,
know,
you
right.
know? But it's also to be like, oh damn, what do I need to work on? So if you come into the mindset like that, then cool. I'm with it.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
at
And
the same-
marketing is a big aspect of it too, especially from the studio's perspective
Yeah.
or the teacher's perspective. Like I'm videoing a lot of the stuff I do when I practice yoga, and I get to kind of see how like knowing that a camera is there affects my practice, right? And that like pushes me deeper into my practice because I have to stay focused and I have to like
Really?
yeah, for sure.
When the camera's on me, I'm always kind of like nervous and like I feel weird. Like when other people film me and someone else rolling, I feel weird.
Yeah.
Like this right now is like weird to me still. It's
yeah,
still weird
you
to
don't
me.
really get used to it, right? Like there's something on you that switches on that you know that somebody is watching you, and so you act a little bit differently.
I
And, like,
hear that you do get used to it, but this is my 4th one that I'm doing with video, so I'm still new to it. Like I'm still aware of that camera. At some point, it's going to just like disappear, but it hasn't yet. And whenever people film rolls, I'm just like, oh, that's awkward.
Yeah, you're like, somebody's gonna take me home and watch
Who knows?
me.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and then you're gonna end up on somebody else's highlight reel, and that's the worst.
yeah. If anything for yoga though, it like forces me not to get distracted, right? Because I can't just like, do the thing.
Yeah.
I have to be like, no, I'm doing this practice, and it doesn't matter what's going on, and I'm not gonna look at this for a while after I finish it. And
Were you like that when you first started? Like, let's go back. How did you guys both first start?
yoga. In
Yeah,
general.
yoga in general.
You wanna take a crack?
No. Shoot, man, I actually got into it pretty recently. Like, we've all been athletes our whole lives.
Yeah.
Like, we've all done sports and stuff, and I've always been interested in mobility and like trying to fix my knees and my wrists and my back and stuff like that. And I found yoga to be like more of a systematized way of doing that. Like, is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A systematic way.
Systematic way, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So how did I get into teaching is the question, right?
Or just how'd you get into yoga and then eventually became a teacher? I feel like that's a lot of people kind of take that route.
Okay. Yeah. I actually got into Eastern philosophy before I got into yoga,
That's a good way to
which
get into it.
is like interesting because usually it's the other way around, Usually people are like, oh,
Really?
why are you saying a chant at the beginning of this? Like,
Yeah.
what language is that in? Like, what's it mean?
Uh-huh.
And what are these words? And then, so a lot of people go that way. But like in university and like grew up just curious about worldviews and religions and spiritualities and stuff like that. And I think, I went the opposite way, like spirituality to yoga. And then asana practice was something that I was doing alongside jiu-jitsu to kind of like help my jiu-jitsu. Like I knew that it would make me more flexible. I
Yeah.
knew it would make me do all these things. But then I discovered, I got deeper into the spiritual part, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Did you meditate before?
Meditation is an interesting word, isn't it? Because like there's all different kinds of meditation.
I agree
Like
with
we
that.
were talking about,
Yeah.
swimming is a meditation. Running is a meditation. With music and stuff, I would say I'd get in the zone. You'd be in a flow state.
Flow state.
That's what everyone says. Yeah.
Right. So that's different from like formalized sitting down, like shut off all distractions and just focus.
It's similar
on
in the
what's
sense
really-
that you're trying to focus, like everything is coming to like a tiny needle point focus, right?
Uh-huh.
Like the only thing on your mind in that moment is like you're breathing and you're moving through this water, right? As you're
Right.
swimming. So the same idea when you're meditating, but you're not doing any action, right? But the same form of concentration happens when you're doing yoga. Like it's just movement and concentration coming into this like one needle point focus. Yeah.
Does that freak you out?
I
Freaks me
feel
out.
invigorated when I achieve it.
Yeah.
Like for a split second, right? If I get into that space or however long it lasts, I'm like, oh, this feels amazing. And then immediately as I start thinking about it,
You
it just like
get out of it,
disappears.
right.
Yeah. And you feel blessed to experience it, but you never know exactly what you have to do or what
get back
circumstances have
into
to
it.
come together for you to like
Yeah.
get there. Yeah.
So how did you get into yoga? I bet you it was pretty different from Ryan, is my guess.
Yeah, different. I was never super into sports. I played tennis in high school for a couple of seasons just to kind of fuck around with my friends.
Yeah.
Hope it's okay that I swear.
Oh,
on
okay.
here. Cool. But otherwise, in college, I was like really stressed out. I had a lot of, I don't know, I just didn't feel that great, and I needed to find like some sort of outlet. So there was a really interesting guy called Eric Burry who did his yoga classes in a tiny Catholic church on like the edge of my campus in the
Yeah.
basement, like in this really
Fucking
interesting
culty.
room that was
Yes,
like
this is a cult.
a classroom. Oh, man. It had nothing to do with Catholicism, just for the record. He was like a really sweet guy. I think he used to do like sound checks for the Beatles in his.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's been all over the place,
Yeah.
and he was just a really eccentric person, and he was old and gray and like in the most fantastic shape I had ever seen to be on a human being at that age, right? And he had like the most interesting poise about him, and something really just like pulled me towards his classes. And
Go on.
he would
Deep
sit,
sigh.
I
Yeah.
mean, hey, whatever works, right? He
Yeah.
would sit at the front of the class and he would talk for like half an hour before every class, which is intense. Like, no, who's gonna sit through that? But for some reason, after his classes, I would just kind of like leave in this state, like, wow, like all this stress would just wash off of me, and I just kept coming back maybe once a week until I graduated college. And then at the end of that experience, I brought him cupcakes, and I was like, what am I gonna do without you? You're my favorite person ever, you know? And he was like, no matter where you go, the yoga will find you, right?
God.
Really hammering it home.
Yeah.
But it did. It found me everywhere I
no.
went, you know? I practiced at home for a long time, just casually. I practiced online. YouTube was a super cool resource.
Yeah.
Then I read books, and I sort of went to classes here and there. And then when I got to Shanghai, I started taking it really seriously.
Okay.
I was
Which was
like,
how many years ago?
3.
Okay.
2.5.
Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a training last year. This time last year, I was graduating my training. And I originally had wanted to do it in India because,
Yeah.
you know.
I got you.
You know.
Yeah.
But we got locked down, so I was like, screw it, I might as well just do it here. And I found a really great school and a really great teacher, and it just plunged me way deeper into loving this art way more than I thought I could have.
Is it the community? I'm really genuinely curious because jiu-jitsu, a lot of people come in for the community. Like they come in and they're like, I like my friends. I like choking people out. And there's like an aspect of that where people are just like, I enjoy this group of people. But I've always found yoga to be like kind of solitary.
It is, man.
And so I don't know if it's the community or if it's
The
not.
trainings, though,
The trainings are cool.
yeah, like it's the base level step for you to, you know anything about yoga. 200 hours is nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Okay.
But when you spend a month or 3 months every weekend or every day seeing people just blood, sweat, tears, like
It's
suffering,
blood?
you know,
Blood.
dude, blood and injuries, right? Like Ryan said earlier, all of that. And you just go through something really intense over the course of that time. And at the end of it, you feel like, yeah, this is my team.
Huh.
In a sense, I felt really connected to my group of people. At least.
The people that you had
my
like,
training with,
yeah, in the little workshop.
We're all still connected.
Oh, yeah?
A lot of us went off to teach together and collaborate on a bunch of things, and like
And so you got really into it with the community then.
Well, as a symptom of me signing up for the training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But other than that, I always feel like yoga is kind of just like a.
Yeah, if you rock up to a class, you're not going to talk to anybody the whole time.
Yeah.
And then you're going to leave and like, namaste.
Yeah,
See ya.
and you're out.
Yeah.
Like there's no human interaction. It's kind of like swimming.
Yeah, it is a lot. Yeah, and I really like teaching with workshop because like I already know a lot of the people there, and I don't know, you show up early and we hang out after, and it's all like the mat floor, so like you can just roll around and like talk to somebody while you're like laying on your side, you know. It's just like,
oh, that's the best. Yeah
I like that place a lot.
Right,
I think it's cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, you should go to the rock climbing gym. Let me tell you, the rock climbing gym, the mat's like this thick, and so it's super soft, and you bounce, and it's just kind of sink into it. It's real nice. And like that's kind of part of why I like rock climbing. It's because most of the time you're just sitting there watching your friends on the wall try to figure out a problem, and then he doesn't get it, and then someone else tries, and then we all just take our turns, and then when someone gets it, you're like, yeah, that was awesome, and you get that kind of like community bond. But again, I feel like I don't get that from yoga. Like if I saw the guy next to me do like some pose, I wouldn't be like, oh, good job. I'd be like, I gotta fucking do mine.
Right. You know, after the training, if I do say so, like my perspective changed on it, right? Because if I'm practicing next to someone and they like, the instructor says, okay, do this posture, this sequence, right? And like it's maybe a second level class, and you see the person next to you like struggling, and then then you do it again, and they nail it. You're just like, you stop whatever you're doing. You're like, damn, yeah. And they go, yes.
Really?
And you're just
really?
Yeah, I
have
recently had that experience. Maybe it's because I practice mostly with the guy that I did my training with. For people that come to him so regularly that you start to just know one another.
Do you want to shout it out? I mean, whatever you want.
Shout him out?
Yeah. Or whoever.
Raj from Drishti. He's amazing. Drishti Vinyasa Yogashala. Yeah, Raj started this business, I think, somewhat like 8 years ago. He came from Kerala, India, and he's strict. Like, he will whip you, but he's incredible. You feel so amazing after. A little bit of, you know, feels really good. But yeah, it's tough love, like in a way that I'd never known before that. Like, he does not take any mercy on you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's very like, you know, breathe. and you know, imagine your spine, but also fuck you. Like,
fuck your spine.
Yeah.
I don't care about your spine.
I had that when I was a kid. Like, I had a really mean coach when I was a kid. And after you graduate, you love them. You're like, you worked me so hard. And we all got to these, you know, really impressive swim meets. We all got really good, you know, times, and we were great. Great friends, great experience. After I graduated, I loved him. But during, I was kind of like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy, motherfucker?
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. It's super impactful, right?
Yeah.
Like, when someone shows you your potential, like, you're like, you see other people doing crazy poses in yoga that are like clearly on another level, and one day he just walks over and helps adjust you in a hot sec, and like, you just do that posture that you thought you could never do. You feel like, wow, this guy has the key to my potential. You know, like, he is holding it, and it's empowering.
Yeah. I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't, like, you know, like, oh, but also disclaimer, like, the postures don't really matter.
No.
You know?
Of
What?
course.
Right. I'm about to blow your mind.
What? So upsetting.
So
upsetting.
I mean, asana is a sport. Like, it has become a sport, you know? But
Yeah, in the worst way.
I mean, yeah, exactly. In the worst way. Because And it's the reason that after class you feel good, because the intention of all of these crazy pretzel twisty things is so that you can sit longer without discomfort in meditation. That's why all this stuff was made. Each posture has a different effect on a different organ, has a different release, an opening of your different nadis, which are energy channels, which are related to chakras, which is actually like, you could translate that and it would have direct correlations in Western scientific vocabulary and stuff.
Sure.
All of this exercise is so that you can prepare yourself for meditation. And that part just gets lost. And it just like, I can do the front splits and I can do the side splits. And it's like, well.
So how long do you guys meditate for? Like daily?
Oh, yeah, daily.
In June, I started 10 minutes a day.
Right.
And it's hard.
And it is the hardest thing I've ever done, but it makes me feel so more attuned to myself for the rest of the day that I've gotten to a point where like I can feel it when I don't meditate that day.
Really?
Yeah. Like I have feel that way right now.
So you do morning meditation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In the morning, I'll do some asana. And because I find actually once I move my body a little while, it becomes easier to meditate. Like the reason why yoga is made up of, help me out here. There's a pranayama element in every class, right? The breathing element. Okay. There's a mantra element. In like a cohesive yoga class, right? There's supposed to be these 5 elements. Breathing, mantra, mudra, which are the hand postures, asana, and bandhas, locks. So if your practice contains all of those elements, then you are like... you're basically set up to have a more successful or a
it's going to help
it's going to just help your process of meditation after you sit. So usually I would do asana and then sit, and I would have a better time meditating.
And if you think about it, like that's why most classes end with shavasana, because it is like, oh, chill and like just like relax your body, but it's also a chance to move away from your body. You've like worn your body out, you've worn your mind out, so now they aren't obstacles.
I've meditated now but every night I would meditate for 10 minutes.
Oh, nice.
10 to 15 depending on, but I've done it for 2-3 years, third year.
Okay.
And still constantly fail at the meditation. I feel like I just fall out of it and I'm like, all right, well today was a failure or whatever, I'm going to sleep. And then the next day you just try it again. And every night you do it, right?
It's really hard to continue to do something when you consistently feel like you're not getting any better, or you're failing, or you're just like, you know what I mean? It's like, what, like, why would you do that? Like, I sucked again. Are you kidding me? You know, like, it's hard to keep the motivation up for doing something like that every day.
I heard this one story, and I don't remember the characters involved, but it was like some swami and some like nun, and this isn't like a dirty joke or anything.
That's what I was waiting for.
So like there was some kind of spiritual exchange here, like a workshop or something, like, hey, bring your god, I'll bring my gods, or something like that. Okay. We'll share. But anyway, the nun was like, I don't know how you guys do this. I tried to sit still and my mind runs this way and it runs that way and it runs far away and da-da-da. And the Swami was like, well, actually, that's great. That's a million opportunities to come back to stillness. So it's about how you think about it, because even my teacher was like, guys, when you're meditating, don't beat yourself up. Like, the mind is made to do this stuff. Like, if it's doing that, it's working and you should be happy. You should also be happy when you guide yourself back to your breath, because if you negatively reinforce this pattern over and over and over again, it's going to make it way harder for you.
Yeah. And it's like a soft focus, right? It's not like, a lot of people have the misconception that you're trying to get rid of your thoughts or you're trying to have less of them. But like, it's a natural effect of watching yourself that they just start to slow down. Like, the actually trying to pressurize it or force it, like, is counterintuitive. So the more you just like let yourself think, right? Like, let yourself process the day, even like the things that are coming up are communicating to you what is like on your mind and what is what maybe needs to in some way like be what's the word I'm looking for, addressed, right? And so once you address those things and you practice like allowing them to come in and then leave without any like force or effort, then you're letting the practice unravel rather than like trying to achieve a meditation.
So I want to go back to what you had said previously, that you noticed the difference between a day that you've meditated and a day that you haven't. What's the difference? Because I haven't. Like, I meditate before bed, and then I usually just pass out. Like, that's the go-to. I do, it's 8-second box breathing, right?
Oh, cool.
And
Box
I just
breathing
do
is
that.
awesome.
I do that for 10 minutes, and then I'm out. And I just pass out. And sometimes it works, and then other days, yeah. But then I'm asleep. So basically, I don't get like a day of like, how does this impact me? Right? It's just, meditate, fall asleep. That's the end of it. And so I'm curious to see if there is, like, what are the differences like during the day? Because maybe I'll switch to morning.
Yeah. How can I put this? When I sit down, I experience like a level of failure every day, right? It's never like, damn, that was a perfect meditation.
Yeah,
but
I
like since I've started treating it as like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and like spend 10 minutes with myself.
Yeah.
And just try to notice as often as possible when I'm noticing myself, like meta,
Yeah.
And when I practice that, and then I step off the mat, I notice myself coming back to that place throughout the day. I notice being able to call back my attention a little bit more often. Or, I notice my focus maybe returning a little bit quicker when I'm doing a task. I notice the space between my thoughts is a little bit softer, and I can sort of be a little bit more forgiving in my inner dialogue, and also in my communication. Like, I don't know, I think of it, of life differently.
Yeah.
Just happier. It seems like you're happier.
It feels like I'm in a better relationship with whatever's going on inside my mind. Because I took time to appreciate and connect with that part of myself in the morning before I moved on and sort of like got caught up in the flow of whatever and looked at my phone and like was inundated by a million different things and sort of got swept in this storm. Like, before any of that, I took a 10-minute break. Sort of, hey, Alisa, how you doing today?
Yeah.
Does anything hurt? Like, do you need a bottle of water? Like, do you feel like a shower today or do you not? Like those kind of really simple questions would like, that taking stock process is something I've really learned to enjoy.
The shower question's always a yes.
Yeah,
You should probably take the shower.
I don't know. Sometimes I like to get a little stinky.
Yeah, and like a part of a meditation is like seeing yourself identify with things. You're like, okay, where are my emotions? Like, how am I feeling right now? Like you said, you're like, I feel angry. Then what you're supposed to do, or what I've heard you're supposed to do, what I've been trying to do, is be like, but I'm not anger. I'm just like experiencing anger. Like, I am the thing that is experiencing anger, but I'm not that. And then if you're not that, then you're also not a lot of things. Like, you're not your identity. You're not like, like these gender roles. You're not like pigeonholed. You're not all of these things. So later in the day, like if you practice that a lot, then you don't necessarily have to identify, and you don't have to react so much to everything, like especially with emotions. Like if you can notice yourself getting angry, then you've already not like jumped in head first. You've already not dived into that pool. You're aware of it. You're like a step back from reacting, and you can just like react better, I guess.
Or there's just, I think it creates like an extra second of time in your reaction to something because of that separation. Like, you can, like, I can see myself like getting angry, right? Like I can feel it swelling, and instead of just like getting carried away by that storm, I can sort of watch it. And then I get that second to make a decision about using that anger for whatever I was about to Whereas beforehand, maybe I wouldn't have had the capacity to have that decision, or like, had space for it in my head, or have noticed it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get to sit back and like watch as everything is like a little bit more separate from you.
Yeah.
And you get to create space, and that spaciousness lets you like choose a little bit more consciously.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I like that. That's nice. You're not letting the circumstance dictate how you feel, because you can still get angry if you want, you know?
Yeah.
And then there's wisdom in emotions. Like, you feel that way because like reasons.
Correct.
And those reasons are important.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be able to choose if you're angry or not, instead of just like, oh, everything is ruining my day, and I'm like this angry person.
And you don't know why.
You don't know why.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Or at least you can like use that anger, like, okay, I'm deciding to be angry right now, like this is going to be good for me, like I'm going to release this thing from my body, you know.
Yeah.
I'm with you both on this one, because yesterday my friend Daniel had said the same. It said something about anger as well. And I was like, and he was really preaching this stoicism thing. And I don't buy into stoicism. I think that if you want to feel something, you should just feel it. Like, don't, suppress your anger, suppress your happiness, and just be I don't buy that. Like, I think that's a popular thing that's not for me. Like, if you have an emotion, you should feel it. You should be like, if you're happy, be happy. If you're gonna cry, just cry. Like, don't be stoic. And like, so when you were like, I want to step away from my emotions and like have that extra second to think about it, like, nah, I don't need that second. Like, if I'm gonna be sad, just let me feel the sadness. Like, during quarantine, I haven't cried that much in a long time.
Yeah,
like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, there were some days that were just, I don't know what I'm doing. And I just sat down and I cried. And I was like, all right, well, this is happening. Let's roll with this. Let's finish crying, and then, maybe you'll feel better.
Yeah. I think there's a slight difference, if I may, though,
Go for it.
between like, it's almost like either you fumble into an emotion and you find yourself in this state that you feel like you have no control over, right? And you're just like, oh, this sand is slipping through my hands. Like, I feel so out of control. Or you sort of, you let yourself feel the emotion because you know that that's part of a process that you need to allow yourself to have, right? And I think there's like maybe an awareness or something that sets those two things apart, right? Because you're letting yourself feel it fully, and that takes a level of presence, right? It's not I'm not trying to escape from anything by feeling this way. I'm not trying to distract myself. I'm not trying to impress someone else. I'm not trying to like get someone else's attention by getting angry or crying. It's like I'm just letting myself
Feel. Be here.
Be
Yeah.
be here.
This is where I am right now. I mean, I read what was that book? The Power of Now. I don't know if you guys. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I couldn't get through it. I maybe 2/3 of the way through, and I was like, this is not going to help me in my professional life at all. And I turned it off. I could probably go back to it now and like kind of get more out of it maybe. But I got through maybe 2/3, and I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
But like, I do get just being here and being like, oh, this is where I am now. Like, enjoy the moment.
It's good to know which voices resonate with you and which don't.
Yeah.
I feel like in self-improvement and any sort of wellness thing, like there's so many people saying different things, right? Like you kind of have to find someone that really resonates
because you can't buy all of it.
Otherwise it sounds like bullshit, and you don't need to love it if you don't love it.
Yeah. But like all that self-improvement stuff, like I just feel like a lot of it's common sense. Like,
man,
yeah. Like I'm pretty sure and you just need someone to tell you that you know. And
but
like,
sometimes
but
that's what it
common
takes.
sense really isn't common in like a lot of the ways.
I'm with you.
Yeah, you're so right.
I don't mean to be like disparaging about people and stuff, but a lot of people like don't have any emotional intelligence, and whether that's like to observe it in other people or to observe it in yourself, because like to be self-aware isn't easy, and like I don't know, to build those foundations, you kind of, it's not really like when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I need to work on my self-awareness and stuff. It's just like you're around people that are self-aware, and they help you be that way.
Right.
So it's, yeah, I know what you're saying. A lot of it's like, how do you guys not get this?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, what am I not getting? You know, like, and I feel like I've improved a lot in that self-awareness thing, you know, and I become more aware, and I still have a ton of work to do, and everybody does, but I know what you mean. Like, I share the same sentiment, like,
but
when you're reading this stuff or like hearing it or however you're consuming it, like a lot of the time, I don't know about you guys, but you read something, you're like, Jesus, like obviously, you know,
I could have written this,
like, but I didn't,
right?
You know,
I know.
like, and so when you get like slapped in the face with something like that, it's like, well, why? Like, what's the difference between me like reading this and feeling that way and not living my life that way in some way, right? Like there's maybe an incongruency there. Like, am I embodying this even though I know that it's true? Am I living my life by this value? Am I fully in it all the time?
Yeah.
Or is it just something I know?
It's one thing to know something intellectually,
right?
And it's another one to like
actually
have the experience of it and to like live it out.
Yeah.
Knowledge is a rumor till it lives in the body.
All right.
That's deep.
It's one of my favorite phrases.
That's a good one.
I get that. I have a theory on this though, and I've heard it from other people, but my theory is that it's getting worse, right? Self-awareness is disappearing, and it's disappearing because of social media. We outsource all of our self-awareness to Instagram, whatever, right? Because you don't know what you want to buy. What do I want to buy today? Oh, Taobao will tell me what I want to buy. Man. What do I like? Oh, Instagram will tell me what I like.
The
like,
algorithm.
you never have to do that self-awareness trip anymore because people don't give a shit. They're like, the phone will do it for me. I don't need to ask myself any more questions because the algorithm knows. Yeah. And nobody takes that journey anymore. No one sits down and like, how do I feel today? Yeah. Well, I don't need, like, I'll go through Douyin or TikTok and I'll feel that dopamine and I'll be happy. And just automatically, you never have to take that journey. And so it's getting worse and worse every year. Like all these kids, I'm like, are you happy? I'm like, kids just like blank. And I'm like, oh, it's rough.
It should be illegal, you know?
It should be. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, in some states, you ban like kids' exposure to technology or TV until the age of like 6. Yeah. You know, in like the Netherlands, it's getting to a point where it's toxic. Yeah. Right?
No, I'm with it.
One of my friends had a really cool sticker on his phone that said, "This is a tool." Yeah. And every time he looked down at his phone, he would read that this is a tool. And I think that's such a cool way to come back to like, okay, this is a piece of machinery and it's meant to like have certain functions that help my life be better, but beyond that, like it is nothing.
See, I just see my reflection in the blank screen and it says, "This is a tool," and I'm like,
oh, it's me. I'm a tool.
Got me again. Damn, phone.
You need to process that. Take your time.
I get that. And I do take time off of my phone. Like I had Douyin for a long time, maybe about a year, and it was killing my life. Like it was literally just, you'd get on and then an hour would go by and you'd be like, where am I? And my boss would be like, where'd you go? And I was like, I was in the bathroom for an hour. And I was like, how did I sit on that toilet for an hour? And it was like that. And the time was gone. Right. And so like, I set alarms now. I set 5-minute alarms just to be like, yo, 5 minutes went by. And I was like, oh, I got to get off of this.
Yeah,
and
that's a good idea.
Eventually I just deleted the app. I was just like, I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
I don't know how that stuff takes over your life, but it just does. Yeah. And so you need, I try to stay away.
It's made to be addictive like that too, isn't it?
That's like
it's got to be illegal somewhere.
Some of the greatest minds graduating college these days are like moving on to these companies where their sole job is to study like psych and how people work socially so that they can manipulate you into spending more time on this app. Like some of the greatest minds in our society today are like being used in this way.
Is that terrifying?
It's a shame.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
But how do we get around it? Like, we can't control that.
Yeah,
right?
And like, I don't know. It shouldn't be like illegal or whatever.
Right.
Like, even though I said it should be illegal a minute ago, but like, Yeah, that's why you just need those like self-aware people around you to like, hey, did you check in today? Like, I see you've spent 2, 4, 9 hours on your phone today.
I sort of used to make a big argument for Instagram. It's my favorite platform, and I've loved it, right, for its connectivity with people. Like you get to stay global with. It's awesome, right? Like it's a resource if you can use it that way and sort of have the discipline. And a couple of years ago, and then I don't know, I could see so much cool art. I could see all my friends, like the ones that I really knew I wanted to be consciously in contact with, not the ones that I knew were affecting me positively. I could sort of curate my feed to show me content that really fed me in some way, so that I could feel at least that, like, after spending 30 minutes on Instagram, that I was walking away with some new insight or some sort of, good feeling or connection to my friends. And now, like, as the algorithm is changing, the more I go on Instagram, the less I see the stuff that like I follow and want to see, the more I just see brands and food videos, and I'm like, this isn't anything at all. Like, it's just becoming so unenjoyable to be on Instagram. It's such a shame, because it used to be so much nicer.
I've noticed my personal content changing as well, like, because if you like scroll all the way down to the bottom of my Instagram, it's like pictures of things, you know. It's like pictures like of like the things that I see in my life, but now it's like more of like the front facing camera or something like that. Here's my take on blah, 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 like me, main character syndrome. I've heard it called. There's a guy, Brad Trammell. Brad Trammell. And he's good. He does like the Millennial Report and stuff like that. But he's got one, main character syndrome.
That's hilarious. I was just talking about that today, and I didn't know it had a name. But I was on Xiaohongshu, Little Red Book, the Chinese platform, and I asked my friend, I was like, do you notice that all these climbers, for rock climbing, all they do is film themselves? Like, all of their content is just me all the time. And I'm like, this is a terrible platform, because nobody does other people's shit. Everyone's just like me all the time. And I just picked up a Xiaohongshu account, and the account is all of my friends not being able to get on the wall and just falling all the time. It's just my friends falling off the wall. And it's like 15-20 second clips of my friends trying to get on the wall and then falling off. But it's never me. And then I'm like, why is everyone else's just them all the time? And I didn't know there was like a word for it.
And even though it's self-deprecating, it's still like also promotion. Like self-promotion.
It's weird. Well, I don't know when that happened.
I feel like it's also part of the algorithm in a spooky way, right? Because like Instagram will push you if it's like a sexy selfie versus a picture of nature. You get more likes on pictures of your face than you do on pictures of like scenery or something, you know, and that's like built in some way, right? So it's like pushing people in that vain direction.
You know, people say that about yoga, like, and boxing. They're like, if girls put in posts of themselves doing boxing, they get more likes. That's what the guy that created Ringside told me. He was like, if a girl, like a hot girl, has boxing gloves on, she gets more likes. And so he opened a boxing gym. And then he only targeted girls. And they all came in. They all got a lot more likes. And then the girls came, so the guys came.
And I was like, not good marketing.
That's great, right?
It works.
And it's the same thing for yoga. Like, I feel like if you're on like a yoga mat doing a cool yoga pose, you get more likes.
Especially if it's a cool yoga pose, which is even shittier. Like, you have to be doing something cool, right? And like, the more cool you do, the cooler you have to do next time. And then it's like, you're just, you know, by the
so that just pulls you deeper into it.
You can't just be doing like a warrior 2, right?
It depends on how much clothing you're wearing, I guess.
And that's like, that's kind of the shitty thing about yoga, because you need bait on your like fishing rod, you know. So you're like, hey, don't you want to be flexible and feel good? Like, oh, by the way, it's all for meditation actually, but I'll like once you're hooked, I'll tell you why we're actually doing
Such a shame.
this,
You have to like try so softly to like sprinkle in the things that you love about yoga without pushing people away from like just the practice of asana. Like,
is that you guys or me?
that's me.
Go for it.
It's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, it's very good.
Timer's up.
Yeah, it's over. That's my Instagram, actually. Yeah, that's like me. Post to your account, Alyssa.
Really?
Yeah.
Awkward.
What? You did that to yourself.
right as we were talking about this.
I mean, you become what you hate, right?
Fuck.
That's the rule.
Well, actually, I don't know, right? Like, I'm still sort of in that fight for like, how can I make this platform still be about like what I wish it was. So in some way, if I feel like I'm contributing to that, I feel like I'm winning.
I blame myself. I'll be honest. Like, I felt the same thing that you're feeling. Like, my feed has gotten worse. But I know it's also because I'm liking, like, hot girl posts. And, like, I know I shouldn't. But, like, I'll click like, and then it's just in your feed. And I'm like, I shouldn't have clicked like. Like, fuck. And then my feed is just filled with, like, hot girl posts. And I'm like, I'm trying not to do this. I don't want this. But, like, every once in a while, you're just like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I fuck myself. I know I'm doing it. I'm messing up my feed.
Yeah.
But I just, every once in a while, it just happens.
It's a little bit of awareness that'll help solve that problem, but it'll also help you solve like day-to-day problems. Because that book that you put me on, Becoming Supernatural.
Ooh.
By Joe Dispenza.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've never heard it said this way, but you do get addicted to those emotions.
Yeah.
And not only good emotions, you also get addicted to anger, you get addicted to lust, you get addicted to sadness, you get addicted to all of those things. And like, it's because your brain is an algorithm too.
Oh, shit. That's possible. I could see that.
Fuck, right? Because your brain is made of like systems of like networks and things. So the more you trigger those, the easier it is for them to fire.
Right.
And then you start like,
falling into those paths.
Just autopilot at that point, right?
So meditation, like, that's a way of like stepping back and like, system shut down and like reboot for a second at least. Maybe you only get like a split second of that, but it's helpful.
But even if you like made the decision to sit down and like not be affected by any sort of an external like,
You still are.
but at least you took the second, right? Like you're already like in some way recalibrating something, because like some people will say like the scariest thing someone can do is like be alone with themselves in a room for 30 minutes, right? Like if you're like sitting there, you've already kind of made it more than halfway there.
These 2 months, like when we were all alone by ourselves for 2 months,
it's a test.
I think there's a lot of reasons that a lot of people had wildly different experiences.
Yeah.
But there's also probably a common factor why like some people thrived. I heard some people were like, damn, it was awesome. Like I got so much done. I like feel great. I wouldn't mind if it happened again. Like obviously outside of the socio-economic factors, like did you keep a job and stuff like that. But there's probably a reason like that's connected to all this why some people are like, yes, I can be alone, and
Yeah. How did you guys cope?
Some days were better than others, for sure. Some days were harder than others.
Yeah. It's one thing if you like go and do a meditation retreat and decide to sit in a cave for 30 days, right? Like this is your commitment, your decision. This is under your circumstance in some way.
We could have done that. Right? We could have been like, yes, we're quarantined, but I'm choosing to make this my meditation getaway retreat.
Yeah. I still think in some way in the back of your head, right, it's like dripping on you that this isn't your choice.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And that like really more than anything, right, like you're trying to alchemize, you're trying to transform a situation into the best thing it could be. At least that's sort of how I was thinking of it. And every day like is a fresh slate. You just keep going at it, right? But the two things that were the worst to me about it was I don't have any control over this situation.
Correct.
All the control has been stripped from me,
Yep.
more so. And B, I don't know when it will end.
Yeah.
That one is fucked because
That one's rough.
there's like a study that someone somewhere did some time ago.
Gotcha. Nice.
And
Good bibliography.
I'm good at that stuff. Where they had one group of people stick their hand in ice for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they saw a timer. And they had another control group that their hands stuck in ice but had no idea how long it had to be kept there for. And the people that didn't know how long they would be in there took their hands out way earlier than the control group that knew they would only be in there for 10 minutes.
Uh-huh.
So it's like this incentive that I can last as long as I know how long this pain is going to
You see
last
the light
me.
at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, like it's so much easier to move through suffering when you know that there's an end point, right?
Yeah.
But when you have no idea and that it could last forever, every second feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's an even darker one with the rats. And
The
water,
boiling
right?
water. That's
I
so
thought you were
fucked
gonna
up.
say that one.
No.
Do you know about that one?
No.
They took some rats and put them in like a pool that they couldn't escape. And like after a few seconds, they saved one of the rats.
Okay.
And then they put it back in. And this was like test group A, right? And that rat swam for hours.
Oh yeah, because he thought he could come back out.
Yeah, because he was waiting to be rescued. You know,
Yeah.
like it's happened before, so
could happen again.
Right.
Wasn't there one with boiling water?
Oh jeez.
Oh, I don't know about that one. That's we're getting
they
even
like
darker.
stuck a rat or a mouse into like heating up water or something, and it was like
Okay.
it like when it was about to die,
Mm-hmm.
they pulled it out, and then when they put it back in, it was like able to swim afloat like way longer.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yo, these
Yeah, or
people are
like the
crazy.
crabs,
Something
like, you know,
Yeah.
like you or what's a frog in a
Frog.
boiling water
Yeah.
or whatever, yeah.
That's
But
what I thought of.
I think we can pull that back to meditation, right? It's
Okay.
dealing with uncertainty. And we can pull it back to the quarantine, right? If you've got a meditation practice, then
Mm-hmm.
you're working on dealing with uncertainty because you're taking things that like typically control you and you feel like you have no control over, and you're like stepping back and observing them, and that in a form is a sort of control because you have a mastery over yourself. You have a mastery over the way you feel. Outside circumstances don't dictate the way you feel. So if you're practicing this like day in, day out, you're not going to be as flustered when obstacles come to you.
Correct.
And that's
I agree
like
with that.
the rats that never got saved, that never experienced that, you know, that saving, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They just stop swimming.
Yeah.
And maybe you expend a lot more energy and tire yourself out a lot quicker when you don't like sit down and have that meditation practice, right? Like your emotions, your everything is like expending so much more of yourself to deal with a catastrophe than you would if you're like really consciously conserving that energy and redirecting it, and like you sort of have more endurance.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, because where you put your attention, that's where your energy goes.
Right.
So, you know, if you're deciding where you want to put your attention, then you're deciding where you want to spend your life force. And we all know it's not infinite either. So, like, it's not the energy that you have in a day isn't infinite. The energy that you have in a life isn't infinite. So, if you can work on like becoming more efficient with that and like work on mastery of that, and that's what yoga is about. Like yoga in the real word yoga is like the mastery of yourself. So
That's a great way. That's a great way to end the podcast, but also
Wow.
that's deep. Yeah.
In that case,
I like that.
snaps.
you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
think of it.
I didn't. Yeah. I didn't know yoga was mastery of yourself. But that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, so come on down to workshop. My name's Ryan.
Yeah.
Plug it.
Plug it. Go for it. What else?
At Alisa Breathing, thank you.
Yeah, right.
Give me
On
a
Instagram?
Give me a like and follow.
Yeah.
Instagram? How do you spell
In
that?
Instagram, yeah. on Instagram.
Alisa Breathing?
Alisa Breathing, Alisa
Gotcha.
Breathing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to plug anything else?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe in the description you could put.
I'll put it
my
whatever you want.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, my WeChat. I don't know. Just hit me up. We can figure something out.
Okay.
Or we can just chat.
Yeah.
RYAHMART24.
That's right.
RYAHMART is my Instagram.
I always forget that you're not Ryan Magnolia. It's really funny. You're in my phone as Ryan Magnolia, like forever. It's a cool last name.
Magnolia forever.
All right, we're gonna end it here, guys. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks so
take
much
care.
for having us.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Do 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 do.